All right then, thoughts on day 41 of quarantine. My first thought that I just discovered, okay, I don't know why I'm always recording where I'm backlit, which looks awful. And it's just the most convenient places. This is where my computer sits regularly, and I'm using my computer to record. But look at this, watch. Oh, suddenly I'm late. And oh, oh. I don't know why. But I just discovered that as this was setting up. So maybe I need to put a few things over here. I'll just talk like this. Not talking like that. So I'd been thinking from the start of all this that I'd kind of like to keep a quarantine journal. That would be a really interesting thing to look back at, or if not myself, but myself as well, but my children or their children someday, of this really unique time. But I never did start that. I'd had the thought many times, but I didn't start it. I actually thought about having my kids do it too. At least the younger ones, is like a school assignment, just write for 10 minutes a day and keep track of what's going on here. But again, I never did do that. I suppose I might yet. But I'm kind of thinking, kind of counting my little videos here as a quarantine journal of sorts, I guess. Even though I haven't posted a lot, I have recorded a lot that I haven't put together and put out there. So there is a record. There is a record to some degree of our days. Yesterday, I wanted to record yesterday because yesterday was day 40 for us. I am not keeping track of the days. I only know that because I saw somebody else post something about, oh, day 35 for us or something like that. And I thought, gosh, I wonder how long it's been for us. And so I counted because I do know what day we, stopped going up, what day we hunkered down. And it just happened to be day 40, which seemed, I don't know, monumental in some way. I don't know, just seemed more so than, I don't know, just randomly vague reasons in my head that made it seem like a bigger day. So my thoughts on day 41, because I didn't get a chance to yesterday, are that quarantine requires more chocolate. Yep, I think that's my biggest observation right now. Quarantine requires more chocolate. So there's an order going in. Actually, I already made an order. We got some cocoa powder and the kids baked some interesting sunflower seed based cookies this morning. I'm actually not supposed to be eating seeds. A couple of my kids aren't great with them either. But everything is as it is right now. We're eating what we have in the house. And it's just got to be what it is. We had some sunflower seeds, so we used them and made sunflower butter, and that was the basis for the cookies. And were they a little less well done, they would have been quite enjoyable. As it was, they were interesting. So. I'm not really worried about the members of my household right now. We're being very, very careful. We're in pretty safe circumstances. I am very worried about my parents and my mother-in-law and my sisters and extended family, because they are not in similar situations. They are more at risk than we are at the moment. I am desperately worried about the future. And I can't help but wish, obviously I wish this isn't happening at all. I wish this wasn't happening at all, but I can't help but wish that if it had happened, that it would have happened when I was younger and I had more energy and my children were younger. The ever famous knock at the door. So I am desperately concerned about the future. I think I was saying, yes, that I wish that this had happened when I was younger and I had more energy and my children were younger, because really with a bunch of little ones just hunkering down at home is fine. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on that. But for us, that was kind of the way that we raised our little kids anyway, was that being at home and being a part of homemaking and gardening and, building projects and all of that, and just very basic everyday lives was the best thing for them. And that if I had the energy for projects and games and reading and all of that, that really wouldn't be able to complain. They would be getting a really good childhood, actually. But my struggle right now is that this is happening when I have a collection of young men who are trying to make their way in the world, that are trying to find, they're trying to get an education and go into different fields, trying to start careers, trying to do all of those things. And so being home right at this moment is actually, it's okay. They have been extremely good about it, about not complaining, not giving me a hard time. I know I've heard from other people who this is not at all the same, where their kids aren't taking things seriously. Mine, I cannot complain in the least. They're all informed and well-read and keeping up with information, and yeah, they agree that everyone needs to be kept safe. But my concerns, and they're very deep concerns, are what happens when the rest of the world goes back to normal, some attempt at normal. But it's still not safe for several members of our household to do the same, because it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time before it is safe for us. So what then? What does that look like? There's already pressure, to to let them go out and work, to what happens when college is back in session in the building for Ian. It's heartbreaking, because I'm actually sitting around thinking, like, do we send our young sons out into the world knowing that it means we can never see them? Or do we keep them from growing and learning and starting a life? Take it one thing at a time. I try to console myself by thinking perhaps we've had it and we didn't know it, and we have antibodies and we can be less careful. Perhaps that's what we'll find out. Though I know there's, don't want to go into it, but there's a lot of controversy around that as well. But not what I'm here to talk about, just my little update on day 41. And there are some, People are getting restless. The weather has not been helping. It's been miserable the last few days. Yesterday it poured rain for hours in the morning and then snowed all afternoon heavily. And then this morning it's been snowing off and on. And then it'll snow for 2 hours, and then for 15 minutes the sun will come out and melt most of what's on the ground, and then the clouds come back in and it starts snowing again. Very windy too. Very gloomy. Normally, I'm not terribly fussy about the springtime weather when it gets like this. Because it's pretty normal, it's to be expected, and I normally am not terribly fussy about it. But this year it does feel like an imposition because it's keeping us from the garden and it's keeping us inside, and it would be a good year not to be the case, for that not to be the case. But it is what it is, and beyond which my seats still haven't arrived. So be it. So, let's see. In other news, I am thinking I'm going to start putting out shorter videos more often, because I'm obviously getting way tied up. It's such a good thing that I'm at home all the time because I always touch my face. If I were going out, I'd be making more of an effort not to, but as I'm at home with all sorts of other worries already, I'm not going to spend much time concentrating on trying not to do that. Yeah, lost my train of thought. Oh, short movies. Short movies. Hey! So yeah, instead of trying to string together a bunch of related movies, I think I'm just gonna do little videos here and there. I mean, I will sometimes do longer ones too, but that's finding the time to sit down and edit them is just not working out. So little ones here and there. Like I think I have a video about making homemade deodorant. So instead of tying that in with a bunch of other ones, I'm just gonna put that out there, even if it is 5-10 minutes or however long it is. If one of Serafina and I baking, they're just gonna stand alone for a while. Yeah, so I'm gonna start doing that, and I think that's just suited to this current time. I have been watching a wee bit of other podcasts, just two, honestly, and I'm not caught up on either one of them. I just watch them occasionally when I'm folding laundry, mostly, or if I get really tired and not feeling well, I'll put them on. And maybe do a bit of cross stitch. I will do a little video on cross stitch because Mari and I have been cross stitching this past week, and I'm really grateful to it. That has been my distraction. Instead of starting a knitting project, like I said, I needed to. I started a cross stitch project, which is really, it's new to me. I'm learning. I did my first cross stitch project while in quarantine in these 41 days. So I'm just learning, but Mari actually knows all the right ways of doing things because my dear friend Kathy taught her all the good and proper ways, of which I never would have taught her because I wouldn't have done it the good and proper ways. I would have said, the back's the back, you're not going to see it, who cares? Because that's the way I am about these things. But she taught her, the proper way to not have knots and to have everything look all tidy and lovely. So yes, so we're actually each working on a sampler right now. The same sampler, different color schemes. We're picking our own colors, and it's just a very little one, but we're very pleased with our project and have plans for new ones beyond that. And I will do a video where I show you everything. But that has been a nice distraction. I have to pay a little more attention to it than I do to my knitting, so it's good for kind of checking out. I'm a bit of a mess myself today, cleaning out a closet. I have noted that I feel like I'm suddenly aging a great deal all at once. Probably the stress, I don't know. But, you know, I've seen it happen to others before too, where you suddenly just very quickly age. So I don't see why I should be exempt, I guess. But I kind of half laughingly, while looking in the mirror this morning, very briefly, thought, gosh, when we ever can go out again, I wonder if my friends will recognize me. um, hmm. So aside from the cross-stitch projects, I am thinking of starting another prayer shawl because another dear woman at our church is having a very hard time with things, with all that is going on and then extra stuff on top of that, and I won't go into the particulars. I don't know her particularly well. She's actually a fairly new acquaintance of mine, but seems like a really lovely, dear, sweet woman. And this kind of seems to be a role that I've stepped into, and I'm actually happy to do it, to be in it. So I found a bag of, it's over there, but I found a bag of yarn that I had bought at, I don't know, at a, probably at a tag sale or a flea market or something like that. I don't remember where or why it came home with me. But I brought it home, and then I got it home and I realized that it was acrylic yarn, which I wasn't really interested in. And I was going to give it to a friend of mine who was learning to knit, but we've since kind of fallen out of touch. And nothing, just lives moved in different directions. We had been part of a homeschooling group, and yeah. Lives went in different directions, and nothing, it wasn't like some horrible, you know, falling apart or anything like that. I would love to see her, I would love to talk to her, but I just don't think I am going to see her anytime soon. So I'd been holding on to it for her, found it in the closet I was cleaning out, and thought, well, maybe this is my solution for the yarn for the lady that I was speaking about, that maybe I would do that. So there's a bunch of skeins that are undone and then unused, and then there was this in there. Somebody was making a baby blanket, and I feel quite guilty about taking apart somebody's work, and like maybe I should try to finish it, but honestly, it's not my color scheme. I don't have a baby who needs it. I don't know a baby who needs it. I do know a lady who could use a prayer shawl. So yeah, I think I just have to kind of come to terms with it, with apologies to the person who did it to begin with. And really, I mean, here, it's recorded for all to see. This was your work, whoever you were. Everyone can recognize how lovely it is and how much time you put into it. And now it's going to go on and be something else, right? I think so. So I think I'm going to pull that out, and that'll be a nice kind of mindless thing to do with my hands sometimes, maybe when I'm a little bit anxious and in need of something, but also need my wits about me. Can't be, you know, paying attention exactly to what I'm doing. Yeah, and so that's me. That's where I'm at. I feel like I spend way too much of my time. I feel like I spend all of my time trying to track down things that we need, that we're running out of. Not sleeping particularly well. Doing a lot of fussing and worrying at night. It's bound to happen. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Day 41. This is us. And I'm gonna go back to it, finish up that closet, and carry on with the day. Sun's out, melting the snow again. Hope for a better day tomorrow. I want to get outside. It's been very, very windy. So even though it's also been dreary. Dreary is one thing, but when it's very, very windy because we're in the woods and we have a lot of older trees, I do worry about branches. And I've heard horror stories from friends of friends that I won't repeat and won't share, but enough to make it a little bit scary. Maybe not so much for me, but taking little ones out. So Seraphine and I haven't had our walk in a few days. That's up. But otherwise, we're all right. We're grumpy. The weather's yucky. I've had a headache for 3 days now. And who likes cleaning out a closet, especially one that was such a mess as that one was, and it was a mess. But it's also almost done now. I'm just putting some things back in. Ian put up a shelf for me, and it'll hopefully be a little bit better. It's ridiculously shaped. It just doesn't make any kinds of sense, and there's no way to make it really useful and right, but I do kind of need the space. It's the only closet on the first floor of the house. We do have a lovely pantry that is just fabulous, really a huge blessing, but then the only other closet is this closet under the stairs. You know those ones? It seems like it's good use of the space, but then with the sloping ceiling and it going straight back and the opening only being the size of an actual door, a regular door, I wish I could not use it, but we need a place to store the bulk goods, to store paint for painting the house, the vacuum cleaner, all the cleaning supplies, etc., etc., etc. Someday, perhaps, I will be as on top of things and get as minimalist as I can in order to be able to say, you know what, this closet isn't worth the frustration. I've read that in a lovely book, which I'm going to have to, I mean, not that exactly, but that sentiment, which I'm going to have to share at some point in time. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it was about that, like, if there's a storage space that is so inconvenient that it just frustrates you so much, then, like, have it be your goal to not have to use it, to just pretend like it's not there. And that's kind of how I feel about this closet. Yeah. But it's almost done for now. It'll just be a wreck again in a month because it's so inconvenient. So what happens is the kids end up just pitching things into it. And then it gets to the point where you open the door and stuff is falling out. I will tell you the embarrassing story of why it is that I'm cleaning out the closet at this moment when it was not on my to-do list. The embarrassing story goes as thus. Darcy the cat caught a mouse. And so I had to clean out my closet. What, you don't see the parallel? You don't see how those two things are related? Darcy the cat caught a mouse. And being very protective of his catch, of his prey, he hid it under the bath mat from Meadow when she came in, which I discovered by stepping on the bath mat with the mouse underneath it, thus causing the bath mat to get bloodied. Blah. So I needed to wash my bath mat, which frankly needed washing anyway. But I hadn't had plans to do any laundry. This was all yesterday. Didn't have any plans to do any laundry, but suddenly needed to because the bath mat was bloodied. So fine. Went to go do laundry. I buy my laundry powder in bulk. We've been using Charlie's soap powder. I switched from a homemade one that I used for years and years and years because I was having some trouble. And this is what we switched to, which is fine. So I buy it in bulk because it's a lot cheaper that way. Keep most of it in the closet. And just a little mason jar. A little mason jar of the regular stuff, a little mason quart mason jar of regular, quart mason jar of the hard water softener because we have very hard water. Keep it in the closet. Go to wash the bath mat. Of course, I'm out of detergent. Could I find my detergent in the closet with everything else burying it? No, I could not. So, Darcy kills a mouse. I clean out a closet. there you have it. You really didn't need to know that. All right, I'm off. You will be seeing me more often in shorter increments, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever day it is for you of quarantine 2020. All the best.